The most dangerous order I ever gave began with two simple words: no mercy. Commander Kaler's voice rolled across the massive academy arena, echoing through steel towers and shimmering holographic displays as more than 8,000 cadets fell completely silent. Every species represented in the Galactic Military Academy understood what those words meant. Sparring Day was never about trophies. It was about proving who deserved respect before earning a place among the future defenders of the galaxy. Around the circular combat floor, towering alien cadets exchanged confident smiles while instructors activated tactical recording systems that would preserve every movement for years of military study. Most eyes drifted toward one competitor standing quietly near the entrance. Lucas Walker looked nothing like the terrifying legends attached to Earth's reputation. He was a young human with white skin, short brown hair, calm blue eyes, and the relaxed posture of someone waiting for a train instead of entering the largest combat arena in known space. His dark academy uniform fit perfectly, without medals, decorations, or anything designed to attract attention. To the alien students, he looked ordinary. To Commander Kaler, he looked inexperienced. The whispers began immediately. Several cadets quietly joked that the exchange program must have made a paperwork mistake. Others wondered if humans really believed surviving a Deathworld automatically made someone a capable fighter. A four-armed cadet laughed loud enough for nearby rows to hear and confidently predicted the match would end in less than 30 seconds. The surrounding spectators nodded with complete certainty. Earth had earned a dramatic reputation, but rumors were not victories, and legends had a habit of collapsing under real pressure. Lucas heard every comment without changing his expression. Instead of responding, he slowly surveyed the arena from one side to the other. His eyes paused briefly on the elevated command platform, then the gravity projectors beneath the polished floor, then the emergency barriers surrounding the combat circle. He seemed less interested in the crowd than in understanding the environment itself. That tiny detail escaped almost everyone watching. Commander Kaler stepped to the edge of the platform and raised one hand. The arena lights shifted from white to deep blue, signaling that the official evaluation was about to begin. Today, he declared, every cadet follows the same rule. There will be no mercy in sparring. Hold nothing back within academy regulations. Hesitation is defeat. Thunderous applause erupted across the arena. Alien cadets pounded armored fists against protective chest plates, while instructors exchanged approving looks. Lucas remained perfectly still. After the cheering faded, he lifted his eyes toward the commander for only a moment and gave one quiet nod, acknowledging the order without a single unnecessary word. Commander Kaler interpreted the gesture as simple obedience. He would later realize it had been something very different. Across the arena, Lucas's assigned opponent stepped confidently into the center circle, already smiling as though the outcome had been decided before the first signal. The spectators leaned forward, eager to watch another ordinary lesson in academy hierarchy. None of them noticed that the only person who appeared completely relaxed was the quiet human from Earth. Long before the first movement, long before the first exchange, Lucas Walker had already accepted the command exactly as it had been spoken, and that decision would soon change far more than a single sparring match. Lucas crossed the polished arena floor at an unhurried pace, and the confidence surrounding him only fueled the amusement of the watching cadets. To the students packed into the towering observation decks, he did not resemble the terrifying warriors described in scattered reports about Earth. He looked like an ordinary young exchange student who had wandered into the wrong academy at the wrong time. His assigned opponent, a towering alien cadet named Draxon, stood nearly a foot taller with broad shoulders, for powerful arms, and years of academy recognition behind him. Every previous evaluation had strengthened his reputation as one of the strongest fighters in his class. Several instructors quietly predicted that this would be an excellent demonstration of why discipline and experience always prevailed over reputation. Lucas stopped several feet away from the center marker and calmly waited for the referee drone to complete its safety scan. His breathing remained slow and steady. His shoulders stayed relaxed. He neither stretched dramatically nor attempted to intimidate his opponent. The quiet confidence puzzled a few veteran instructors, but the younger cadets interpreted it as nervousness hidden behind silence. Draxon smiled politely, though the confidence in his voice left little doubt about what he expected. "You still have a chance to request another opponent," he said. "No one will think less of you." Laughter rippled through the nearby seating sections. Lucas looked at him for only a second before answering with complete sincerity. "Thank you. I came here to learn." The simple reply generated even louder laughter throughout the arena. To most spectators, it sounded like the innocent optimism of someone who had not yet realized the difference between Earth and the wider galaxy. Commander Kaler watched the exchange without interruption. Respect between cadets was encouraged, but so was confidence. Nothing that had happened so far justified interference. The arena lights shifted once again as the referee drone announced that both participants were ready. A clear electronic tone echoed across the stadium, officially beginning the evaluation. Draxon immediately began circling with disciplined footwork developed through years of military instruction. His movements were smooth, controlled, and technically impressive. Lucas responded by turning only enough to keep his opponent directly in front of him. He did not mirror every step. He did not rush to close the distance. Instead, he quietly observed. His eyes seemed to follow details that nobody else noticed: the placement of each foot, the rhythm of every breath, the slight shift of weight before every adjustment. From the command platform, one senior instructor quietly remarked that the human appeared strangely focused on details that carried no obvious tactical value. Another instructor dismissed the observation, suggesting the exchange student was simply delaying the inevitable. Commander Kaler remained silent. Something about the human's composure refused to fit the expectations of an inexperienced recruit. Around the arena, conversations gradually faded. The laughter became quieter as spectators realized neither cadet seemed eager to make the first mistake. Even Draxon's confident smile slowly disappeared, replaced by growing concentration. For reasons that nobody could yet explain, the atmosphere inside the academy had begun to change. It no longer felt like a simple evaluation between a promising alien cadet and an unknown human. It felt like two entirely different philosophies of combat were quietly measuring one another before either side committed to the first decisive move. The opening signal echoed through the arena, and every conversation disappeared at once. Thousands of alien cadets fixed their attention on the center circle, expecting the first exchange to confirm everything they already believed about the newcomer from Earth. Draxon made the first move with the confidence of someone who had repeated the same successful opening countless times during academy evaluations. His footwork was disciplined, his timing was polished, and every movement reflected years of military instruction. Lucas did not answer immediately. Instead, he adjusted his position by only a few inches, allowing the distance between them to change so subtly that most spectators failed to notice it. The tactical instructors watching from the command platform exchanged curious looks. The human was not retreating. He was reorganizing the space around him. Draxon interpreted the quiet movement as hesitation and increased the intensity of the exchange while remaining inside academy regulations. A ripple of excitement swept through the audience. Several cadets expected Commander Kaler to slow the pace, but the commander remained perfectly still. His order from earlier still governed the arena. Every participant understood the rules before entering the circle. Lucas accepted the pressure without visible frustration. He calmly shifted his footing once more, allowing the larger cadets carefully practiced sequence to lose its ideal angle. Draxon immediately corrected his position and continued advancing, convinced that persistence alone would eventually overwhelm the human. The spectators applauded his determination. Lucas remained silent. His breathing never changed. His eyes followed Draxon's shoulders before they followed his hands, then briefly settled on the position of his lead foot before returning to his face. Commander Kaler noticed the pattern immediately. The human was not reacting to attacks. He appeared to be reading decisions before they fully developed. Another exchange unfolded with remarkable speed, and Draxon again attempted to pressure his opponent into making a mistake. Lucas answered with a smooth adjustment that redirected the flow of the movement without forcing a dramatic confrontation. It lasted less than a second, yet several senior instructors quietly leaned forward. That was not academy technique. It relied on timing rather than strength, and on observation rather than repetition. The younger cadets missed the significance completely, But the veterans recognized something unusual unfolding in front of them. Draxen slowed for the first time since the match began. His confident smile disappeared as he realized that every carefully rehearsed sequence seemed to lose effectiveness before reaching its intended conclusion. Lucas still had not attempted to dominate the exchange. He had not celebrated a single successful adjustment. He simply continued watching with the same calm focus he had shown from the moment he entered the arena. Around the observation decks, the laughter faded into thoughtful silence. Friendly predictions stopped circulating through the crowd as uncertainty quietly replaced certainty. Commander Kaler folded his hands behind his back, studying the human more carefully than before. He had expected courage. He had expected determination. He had not expected patience. Watching Lucas now, the commander began to wonder whether the exchange student had entered the arena with a plan completely different from the one everyone else believed they were witnessing. The realization settled over the academy. Like a slow-moving shadow. This no longer looked like an ordinary sparring evaluation. It looked like the beginning of a lesson that none of them had been prepared to learn. The longer the evaluation continued, the more uncomfortable the silence became. Draxen had entered the arena expecting another predictable victory, yet every exchange forced him to abandon a strategy that had earned years of praise inside the academy. Lucas had not become faster or stronger in the eyes of the spectators. Instead, he became increasingly difficult to predict. Every movement seemed deliberately small, almost invisible, but each adjustment quietly removed another advantage from his opponent. Commander Kaler folded his arms and watched without interrupting. Around him, veteran instructors had stopped discussing who would win. Their attention shifted toward a different question entirely. Where had the human learned to move like this? Draxen decided that patience was no longer helping him. He advanced with a carefully structured sequence designed to control the center of the arena and limit every possible response. The maneuver reflected years of disciplined academy training and normally forced opponents into obvious defensive choices. Lucas answered by taking one calm step forward instead of backward. The decision caught nearly everyone by surprise. The distance between them changed just enough to interrupt the rhythm Draxen had prepared. Suddenly, the larger cadet needed to adjust instead of continuing his original plan. That single interruption created a pause so brief that most cadets overlooked it, yet every senior instructor noticed immediately. Lucas did not rush to capitalize on the opening. He simply occupied the better position and waited. The restraint proved even more unsettling than an aggressive response would have been. Draxen circled again, trying to rebuild his preferred angle, but each attempt seemed to meet the same quiet answer. Lucas never mirrored unnecessary movement. He conserved energy, shifted only when required, and continued observing with unwavering concentration. It looked less like someone trying to win a sparring exercise and more like someone solving a complicated puzzle one piece at a time. The tactical displays above the arena began projecting live movement analysis. Colored lines traced both cadets across the polished floor, revealing something remarkable. Draxen covered nearly twice as much ground as Lucas, yet the human consistently occupied the most favorable positions. Several instructors exchanged surprised glances after noticing the same pattern. Efficiency, not speed, was controlling the match. A combat professor quietly activated additional replay angles, searching for a hidden technique that explained the difference. None appeared. The human relied on timing, observation, and disciplined decision-making rather than dramatic athletic displays. The audience slowly realized they had stopped cheering for individual exchanges. They were simply watching, trying to understand what they were seeing. Commander Kaler felt the atmosphere changing around him. At the beginning of the evaluation, the Academy had expected confirmation that experience always defeated inexperience. Now uncertainty had replaced certainty. Draxen's confidence no longer influenced the crowd because Lucas refused to react the way everyone expected. The human neither challenged his opponent nor celebrated small successes. He allowed patience to become pressure. Even Draxen recognized it. For the first time that morning, the decorated alien cadet hesitated before committing to another movement. It lasted only a heartbeat, but Lucas noticed immediately. His posture shifted almost imperceptibly, as though he had been waiting for that exact moment from the very beginning. Standing above the arena, Commander Kaler finally understood why the human had seemed so calm since arriving. Lucas had never entered the combat circle hoping to discover how Draxon would fight. He had entered expecting to learn exactly enough to let Draxon reveal every answer on his own. The atmosphere inside the academy shifted so completely that even the instructors forgot to glance at their tactical displays. Every eye remained fixed on the center of the arena, where Lucas and Draxon continued measuring each other with growing precision. Draxon had always relied on disciplined repetition. Every movement he made reflected years of academy doctrine, every adjustment built upon countless hours of structured practice. Lucas relied on something entirely different. He seemed to collect information instead of forcing results. Every exchange added another small piece to an invisible pattern that only he appeared able to see. Commander Kaler noticed it before anyone else voiced the thought. The human was no longer reacting. He was anticipating. Draxon carefully changed his approach, introducing variations that had never failed him during previous evaluations. He shortened his steps, altered his rhythm, and varied the timing between each advance. The younger cadets believed those adjustments would finally break the strange balance that had frustrated him since the opening signal. Instead, Lucas quietly matched every change with an equally efficient answer. Sometimes he shifted only a few inches. Sometimes he simply remained where he stood because the better decision was not moving at all. The arena replay system projected colored movement paths above the combat floor, allowing the audience to compare both competitors. The image surprised everyone. Draxon traveled nearly twice the distance, while Lucas consistently occupied the strongest position with the fewest possible steps. Several instructors immediately began recording personal notes. This was no longer an ordinary evaluation. It had become an unexpected lesson in efficiency. One veteran professor quietly spoke without taking his eyes off the arena. He is solving the problem instead of fighting it. The comment spread quickly among the command staff because it perfectly described what everyone had been struggling to explain. Lucas did not appear interested in proving he was superior. He seemed interested in making every unnecessary movement disappear. Draxon realized the same thing moments later. For the first time in his academy career, he hesitated before committing to another sequence. That hesitation lasted less than a second, yet Lucas recognized it immediately. His posture changed almost imperceptibly. His shoulders relaxed even further, and his focus sharpened. With remarkable calm, the human had been waiting for certainty, not opportunity. Around the observation decks, the spectators who had laughed at the beginning of the morning now watched in complete silence. Nobody questioned why the exchange student from Earth had remained so composed. They were beginning to understand that confidence built on preparation looked very different from confidence built on reputation. Commander Kaler slowly reviewed every assumption he had made since Lucas arrived at the academy. Nothing in the human's official file mentioned extraordinary tournament victories or famous instructors. Yet everything unfolding inside the arena suggested years of disciplined training guided by principles unfamiliar to the Galactic Military Academy. Lucas finally took one measured step forward. It was the first time he had deliberately claimed the initiative rather than simply responding. Draxon instinctively adjusted his position, but the adjustment came a fraction too late because he was reacting to Lucas instead of directing the exchange himself. The balance of the evaluation had quietly reversed. Every cadet watching understood it at exactly the same moment. The human who had entered the arena looking like the least intimidating participant had become the one competitor nobody could confidently predict anymore, and that uncertainty proved far more intimidating than overwhelming strength had ever been. An unusual quiet settled across the academy, the kind of silence that only appeared when thousands of people realized they had been watching the wrong story from the beginning. Draxon was still the stronger cadet by every measurable standard recorded in the academy database. He possessed greater reach, superior physical power, and years of formal military instruction. Yet none of those advantages seemed capable of restoring control of the evaluation. Lucas had quietly taken command of something far more important than physical space. He controlled the pace. Every exchange now unfolded according to decisions the human appeared to make several moments in advance. Commander Kaler remained motionless on the observation platform, studying every detail. With increasing concentration, The tactical displays surrounding him continued projecting movement predictions, but the computer models repeatedly failed to match Lucas's choices. The Academy software had been developed using millions of combat recordings from across the galaxy. It recognized established doctrine with remarkable accuracy. The human from Earth kept selecting solutions that fell outside every familiar pattern. Several instructors disabled their prediction overlays altogether and chose to watch with their own eyes instead. Draxen understood that remaining cautious would only deepen the problem. He drew a slow breath and deliberately changed his rhythm once again, varying the timing between each step while searching for an opening that had not existed before. Lucas acknowledged every adjustment with remarkable composure. He neither hurried nor hesitated. His shoulders stayed relaxed, his breathing remained steady, and each movement seemed almost effortless. The spectators gradually noticed another detail that had escaped them earlier. Lucas never looked surprised. Every choice made by his opponent appeared to fit naturally into an expectation he had already formed. The realization spread through the observation decks with surprising speed. The human was not simply reacting well. He appeared to be predicting decisions before they fully developed. A respected combat instructor quietly spoke into his recorder. "Observe the eyes. He reads intention before movement." Nearby officers immediately replayed recent exchanges and reached the same conclusion. Lucas consistently focused on subtle shifts in posture rather than obvious motion. Tiny changes in balance, breathing, and alignment seemed to reveal Draxen's next decision long before it became visible to everyone else. The Academy had spent generations teaching students to perfect technique. Earth, it seemed, had also taught its people how to understand the person behind the technique. Draxen attempted one final sequence built around uncertainty, combining familiar movements in an unfamiliar order. The audience leaned forward together, convinced they were finally about to witness the breakthrough he needed. Lucas answered with one smooth adjustment that required almost no visible effort. The sequence dissolved before reaching its intended conclusion, leaving Draxen once again searching for a new approach instead of completing the old one. A low murmur rolled across the arena. Nobody cheered. Nobody laughed. The spectators simply stared in growing disbelief. Commander Kaler slowly realized that the Academy's greatest mistake had never been underestimating one exchange student. The greater mistake had been assuming every civilization defined combat in the same way. Lucas finally took another calm step toward the center of the circle, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. Draxen instinctively yielded a small amount of space before recognizing what he had done. The reaction lasted only an instant, yet every experienced instructor understood its meaning. The strongest cadet in the class had stopped setting the pace. Without anyone noticing the exact moment it happened, the human from Earth had become the one every movement now revolved around, and the entire Academy could feel that the decisive turning point was only moments away. By the time the next exchange began, the arena no longer sounded like a tournament. It sounded like a classroom where every student feared missing the lesson unfolding in front of them. Draxen stood in complete concentration, his earlier confidence replaced by disciplined caution. He had faced larger opponents, faster opponents, and stronger opponents throughout his academy career, but never someone who quietly removed every advantage without appearing to force the outcome. Lucas remained exactly as he had been since entering the arena. His breathing stayed steady. His posture remained relaxed. There was no excitement in his expression and no desire to impress the audience. Commander Kaler recognized the difference immediately. Most cadets fought to prove themselves. The human fought only to solve the situation standing in front of him. The referee drone continued tracking every movement, confirming that the evaluation remained entirely within Academy regulations. Draxen finally committed to a carefully planned advance built around unpredictability. He combined familiar techniques in an unfamiliar order, hoping to interrupt the pattern Lucas had been reading throughout the match. The audience leaned forward together, convinced that this adjustment might finally restore balance. Lucas answered with remarkable simplicity. Instead of matching complexity with complexity, he selected the shortest possible movement, quietly repositioning himself so that Draxen once again found his preferred angle disappearing before the sequence could fully develop. The response looked almost effortless. That was precisely what unsettled the instructors. The human accomplished more while doing less. Tactical analysts began comparing energy expenditure across both competitors. The results appeared on the command platform moments later. Lucas had used significantly fewer movements while maintaining superior positioning during nearly every exchange. Commander Kaler stared at the display longer than anyone else. The Academy had always rewarded precision, yet Earth seemed to have refined precision into something even more disciplined. Around the observation decks, cadets who had mocked the human earlier now watched with open admiration. Nobody spoke. Nobody laughed. Every exchange deepened the same unavoidable conclusion. Lucas was not succeeding because Draxon lacked ability. He was succeeding despite facing one of the Academy's finest students. Draxon recognized the reality as well. He lowered his shoulders slightly, took one slow breath, and looked directly at Lucas. For the first time since the evaluation began, there was no trace of overconfidence in his expression. There was only respect. Lucas acknowledged the moment with a small nod, offering neither celebration nor challenge. That quiet gesture carried unexpected weight throughout the arena. It reminded everyone watching that the human had never treated his opponent with disrespect, even while steadily taking control of the evaluation. The next exchange unfolded with remarkable clarity. Draxon attempted to reclaim the initiative, but Lucas anticipated the timing before the movement fully developed. One smooth adjustment of distance, one carefully chosen position, and the referee drone immediately emitted a clear confirmation tone. Bright blue indicators appeared above the arena as the tactical system finalized the decisive advantage. The match had reached its conclusion. Silence covered the Academy for several long seconds before the replay systems projected the final sequence from multiple angles. Every recording reached the same result. Lucas had earned the victory through discipline, timing, and intelligent decision-making while remaining completely within Academy rules. Draxon stepped back, lowered his hands, and looked at the human with genuine respect. He gave a formal Academy salute without hesitation. Lucas returned the gesture with equal sincerity. Watching from the command platform, Commander Kaler slowly realized that the greatest victory displayed inside the arena was not recorded on the scoreboard above them. It was the moment an entire Academy stopped measuring humanity by appearance and began measuring it by the quiet confidence that only true preparation could produce. The applause faded more quickly than anyone expected because Commander Kaler did not remain on the observation platform. Instead, he descended the wide metal staircase one deliberate step at a time until he reached the edge of the combat circle. Every instructor immediately straightened their posture. Every cadet fell silent. Even the referee drone paused briefly before repositioning itself above the center of the arena. Lucas remained where he stood, calm as ever, while Draxon respectfully stepped aside to clear the training area. Commander Kaler stopped a few feet from the young human and studied him in complete silence. The commander had witnessed countless victories during his military career, yet none had unsettled him quite like this one. Lucas had not relied on overwhelming speed, extraordinary strength, or impossible reflexes. He had quietly dismantled assumptions that the Academy had accepted for generations. Finally, Commander Kaler spoke. "Cadet Lucas Walker, where did you learn to move like that?" Thousands of spectators waited for a complicated explanation. Lucas answered with the same simplicity that had defined every word he had spoken that morning. "On Earth, sir." A few uncertain laughs echoed through the upper rows before fading almost immediately. The answer sounded too ordinary to explain what everyone had just witnessed. Commander Kaler continued without changing his expression. "Military instruction?" Lucas considered the question for a brief moment before replying. "Some of it. Most of it came from learning that wasting energy creates problems instead of solving them." The words spread through the arena more effectively than any dramatic speech. Several instructors quietly repeated the sentence to themselves while reviewing the match in their memories. Suddenly, every movement Lucas had made seemed easier to understand. He had never been trying to impress anyone. He had been trying to remove unnecessary effort from every decision. Draxon stepped forward before anyone else could speak. Facing Lucas directly, he offered a formal Academy salute. "Today I believed I understood discipline," he said with complete sincerity. "Instead, I discovered another kind." Lucas returned the salute immediately. "You adapted faster than most people would have." The respectful exchange surprised the audience almost as much as the evaluation itself. There was no resentment, no arrogance, and no attempt to diminish either competitor. Commander Kaler looked from one cadet to the other before making a decision that caused a wave of astonishment throughout the academy. He stepped inside the marked training circle himself. The referee drone instantly verified his authorization and projected a new evaluation grid across the arena floor. Instructors exchanged startled glances. Senior commanders almost never entered demonstration exercises personally. Commander Kaler folded his hands behind his back and addressed Lucas in a calm, measured voice. One successful evaluation proves potential. I would like to understand your method more clearly. The arena became perfectly still. Lucas neither smiled nor looked surprised. Instead, he asked a single question that caused several instructors to glance toward the commander at once. Sir, are the rules still exactly the same? Commander. Kaler immediately recognized the deeper meaning behind those words. The order he had announced earlier still governed everything inside the arena. If he changed the rules now, every lesson about fairness and discipline would lose its meaning. He gave one slow nod. The rules remain exactly as announced. Lucas acknowledged the answer with quiet respect and stepped toward the center marker once more. Watching the young human assume his familiar relaxed stance, Commander Kaler experienced an unfamiliar feeling for the first time in many years. He was no longer preparing to evaluate an exchange student from Earth. He was preparing to discover whether the academy itself still had something important left to learn. Commander Kaler stepped into the center of the arena with the quiet confidence expected of an officer who had spent decades training the finest warriors in known space. Lucas met him with the same calm posture that had unsettled the academy throughout the day. Neither competitor rushed to begin. The referee drone completed its final verification, projected a green confirmation across the polished floor, and signaled the start of the demonstration. Thousands of cadets watched without making a sound. The commander advanced first, not to overwhelm the young human, but to understand him. Every movement reflected extraordinary experience, balanced timing, and complete control. Lucas answered with equal composure. Instead of challenging strength directly, he adjusted distance with remarkable precision, allowing each exchange to unfold exactly long enough to reveal its purpose before quietly changing position. The demonstration became less about winning and more about understanding. Commander Kaler introduced techniques gathered from many civilizations during his long military career, yet Lucas continued responding with the same disciplined efficiency that had defined every moment of the evaluation. The tactical displays above the arena replayed each sequence from multiple angles, and every replay reached the same conclusion. The human consistently solved complex situations with fewer movements than anyone expected. Several instructors stopped taking notes because they had realized they were witnessing principles rather than isolated techniques. After several respectful exchanges, Commander Kaler lowered his hands and signaled the referee drone to conclude the demonstration. The arena remained perfectly silent. Nobody questioned the decision because everyone understood what had happened. The commander had not stepped into the arena to prove superiority. He had entered to answer a question, and he had found it. Turning toward the thousands of cadets filling the observation decks, Commander Kaler spoke slowly, so every word carried through the enormous hall. Today you believed you were watching one human adapt to our academy. You were mistaken. Today our academy was adapting to one human. The statement echoed through the arena more powerfully than any celebration could have. Lucas remained respectfully still while Draxon and the other cadets listened in complete attention. Commander Kaler continued. For generations we measured warriors by strength, speed, endurance, and reputation. Those qualities remain valuable, but today we witnessed another quality that cannot be ignored. Calm judgment under pressure changes every outcome. He turned toward Lucas once more and gave a formal commander's salute, something rarely offered to a first-year exchange cadet. Lucas returned the salute immediately, neither proud nor surprised, simply respectful. Around the arena, instructors followed the commander's example. Then the cadets did the same. Row after row, thousands of future officers saluted the quiet young man from Earth. Commander Kaler looked across the academy one final time before issuing an order that would become part of every future orientation speech. From this day forward, no cadet will underestimate a human because of appearance alone. Observe first, judge later. Respect preparation wherever it is found. The Academy records later described the event as a routine evaluation, but every person who stood inside that arena knew the official report failed to capture the truth. Long after the lights dimmed and the spectators departed, one lesson remained impossible to forget. Humanity had never been extraordinary because it came from a death world. Humanity became extraordinary because it learned to remain calm while everyone else rushed to conclusions. And in that quiet discipline, the entire Academy discovered a strength greater than power itself.